In a quaint suburban neighborhood, Linda's peculiar love story began to unfold. Passers-by would often do a double-take when they spotted her strolling down the street, arm in arm with a life-sized cardboard cutout of a dashing man. Linda, a 35-year-old accountant with a vivid imagination, had always struggled to find a real-life partner who could meet her lofty expectations. After years of disappointment and heartbreak, she decided to take matters into her own hands and create the perfect companion. Linda spent weeks meticulously designing and crafting her cardboard husband, whom she affectionately named Thomas. She gave him piercing blue eyes, a chiseled jawline, and a perpetual smile that seemed to radiate warmth and understanding. To outsiders, it may have seemed eccentric or even concerning, but to Linda, Thomas was the embodiment of everything she had ever wanted in a partner. As the days turned into weeks, Linda's attachment to Thomas grew stronger. She would engage in one-sided conversations with him, sharing her deepest thoughts and dreams. In her mind, Thomas was always attentive, never judgmental, and always supportive of her decisions. Linda's friends and family initially thought it was just a harmless phase, a coping mechanism to deal with her loneliness. However, as time went on, they began to worry about her mental well-being. Linda's dedication to her cardboard companion reached new heights when she decided to organize a wedding ceremony. She sent out invitations to her bewildered friends and family, announcing her upcoming nuptials to Thomas. The invitations were met with a mixture of confusion, concern, and morbid curiosity. Some recipients thought it was an elaborate joke, while others feared that Linda had completely lost touch with reality. On the day of the wedding, Linda's backyard was transformed into a whimsical wonderland. She had spared no expense in creating the perfect setting for her unconventional union. Rows of chairs were set up facing an altar adorned with flowers, and a red carpet led the way. Linda emerged from her house wearing a stunning white gown, her face beaming with joy as she carried Thomas down the aisle. The small gathering of guests watched in stunned silence as Linda exchanged vows with the cardboard cutout. She had written heartfelt promises of love and devotion, which she read aloud with tears in her eyes. When it came time for the officiant to ask if anyone objected to the union, an uncomfortable silence fell over the crowd. No one quite knew how to react to this surreal situation. As Linda slipped a ring onto Thomas's cardboard finger and kissed his flat, printed face, a mix of emotions swept through the attendees. Some felt a deep sadness for Linda, believing that her loneliness had driven her to this extreme. Others couldn't help but stifle laughter at the absurdity of the scene unfolding before them. Linda's parents, seated in the front row, exchanged worried glances, realizing that their daughter's unusual behavior had gone far beyond what they had initially dismissed as a harmless eccentricity. Following the ceremony, Linda hosted a reception complete with a wedding cake, music, and dancing. She twirled around the dance floor with Thomas, supporting his cardboard frame as she moved to the rhythm of romantic ballads. Guests awkwardly mingled, unsure of how to approach the newlyweds or what to say in their congratulatory messages. As news of Linda's unconventional marriage spread throughout the community and eventually made its way to social media, reactions were divided. Some people found the story heartwarming, praising Linda for her creativity and willingness to find happiness on her own terms. Others expressed concern about her mental health and the potential long-term consequences of her attachment to an inanimate object. Months passed, and Linda's life with Thomas settled into a routine. She would prop him up at the dinner table, take him on outings to the park, and even book 2 seats when going to the movies. To Linda, their relationship was as real and fulfilling as any other. She found comfort in Thomas's unwavering presence and the freedom to project her ideal partner onto his silent form. However, as time wore on, the novelty of Linda's situation began to wear off, and the reality of her choices started to sink in. She noticed the pitying looks from neighbors and the way conversations would abruptly stop when she entered a room. Her friends, once supportive if bemused, began to distance themselves, unsure of how to maintain a friendship with someone so detached from reality. Linda's work life also began to suffer. Colleagues who had initially humored her quirky stories about Thomas grew uncomfortable with her insistence on bringing him to office parties and referring to him in meetings. Her boss, concerned about the impact on team dynamics and client relationships, was forced to have a difficult conversation with her about maintaining professional boundaries. As the first anniversary of her marriage approached, Linda found herself grappling with conflicting emotions. On one hand, Thomas represented the safety and stability she had always craved. He never argued, never disappointed her, and was always there when she needed him. On the other hand, the growing isolation from her friends and family, coupled with the challenges at work, made her question the wisdom of her choices. One rainy evening, as Linda sat across from Thomas at her dining table, she found herself longing for a real conversation, for the warmth of human touch, for the unpredictability and growth that come with genuine relationships. Tears streamed down her face as she realized that in creating her perfect partner, she had inadvertently built walls around herself, shutting out the very human connections she had always yearned for. In that moment of clarity, Linda made a difficult decision. She knew it was time to let go of Thomas and face the world on her own terms. With trembling hands, she carefully folded up the cardboard cutout that had been her constant companion for over a year. As she placed Thomas in the recycling bin, she felt a mix of sadness and liberation. The following days were challenging as Linda navigated life without her cardboard husband. She reached out to her family, seeking their support and understanding. To her relief, they welcomed her with open arms, grateful to have their daughter back. Linda also started seeing a therapist, working through the underlying issues that had led her to create such an elaborate fantasy life. Slowly but surely, Linda began to rebuild her real-world relationships. She joined local clubs, volunteered at community events, and even started a support group for people struggling with loneliness and social anxiety. Through these experiences, she discovered that genuine human connections, while sometimes messy and complicated, were infinitely more rewarding than the perfect but hollow relationship she had fabricated with Thomas. As months turned into years, Linda's story became a distant memory for most, occasionally resurfacing as an anecdote or cautionary tale. For Linda, however, it remained a profound turning point in her life. She had learned valuable lessons about self-love, the importance of human connection, and the dangers of retreating into fantasy when faced with life's challenges. Linda's journey from marrying a cardboard cutout to embracing the complexities of real relationships served as a powerful reminder that true happiness and fulfillment come from engaging with the world around us, imperfections and all. Her experience touched the hearts of many, inspiring conversations about loneliness, mental health, and the human need for connection in an increasingly isolated world. Linda's journey of self-discovery and reintegration into society was not without its challenges. As she took her first tentative steps back into the real world, she found herself overwhelmed by the complexity of human interactions she had so long avoided. Simple conversations with cashiers or neighbors left her flustered, and the prospect of forming new friendships seemed daunting. However, Linda was determined to persevere, drawing strength from the support of her family and her newfound commitment to personal growth. In her therapy sessions, Linda began to unpack the root causes of her retreat into fantasy. She explored childhood experiences of rejection and bullying that had left deep emotional scars, as well as a series of failed relationships in her 20s that had eroded her self-esteem. Through these sessions, Linda gained valuable insights into her patterns of behavior and learned coping mechanisms to deal with anxiety and fear of rejection. As part of her healing process, Linda decided to channel her creativity, the same creativity that had once led her to create Thomas, into more constructive outlets. She enrolled in a local art class, discovering a talent for painting that she had never known existed. Her canvases became a means of expression, allowing her to process her emotions and experiences in vibrant colors and bold strokes. Soon, her work caught the attention of a local gallery owner, who offered to showcase some of her pieces in an upcoming exhibition. The art show became a turning point for Linda. As she stood among her paintings, surrounded by curious attendees, she found herself engaging in meaningful conversations about her work and her journey. For the first time in years, she felt truly seen and understood by others. The positive reception of her art boosted her confidence and opened up new social circles, introducing her to fellow artists and art enthusiasts who shared her passion. Emboldened by this success, Linda decided to take another significant step in her personal growth. She signed up for a singles retreat, a weekend getaway designed to help people build connections and develop relationship skills. The thought of spending an entire weekend surrounded by strangers, engaging in group activities and discussions about love and companionship, filled her with trepidation. Yet, she recognized that facing her fears head-on was essential to her continued progress. The retreat proved to be a transformative experience for Linda. Through team-building exercises, vulnerability workshops, and guided meditation sessions, she found herself opening up to others in ways she never had before. She shared her story, including her marriage to Thomas, with her group, surprised to find understanding and empathy rather than the judgment she had feared. Many of her fellow retreatants had their own stories of loneliness and unconventional coping mechanisms, and Linda realized that her experiences, while unique, were rooted in universal human emotions. During one particularly powerful session, Linda participated in a trust fall exercise. As she stood with her back to her partner, preparing to fall backward into their arms, she was struck by the metaphorical significance of the moment. Letting go of Thomas had been her first trust fall, a leap of faith into the unknown, trusting that the world would catch her. Now, as she felt the secure grip of her partner's hands, she knew that she had made the right choice in rejoining the messy, unpredictable, but ultimately rewarding world of human connection. Returning home from the retreat, Linda felt invigorated and ready to embrace life fully. She maintained contact with several of the friends she had made, organizing regular meetups and supporting each other in their personal growth journeys. One of these new friends, a kind-hearted man named Michael, began to play an increasingly significant role in Linda's life. Their shared experiences of overcoming loneliness and learning to trust again formed the basis of a deep bond. As Linda and Michael's friendship blossomed, she found herself experiencing genuine romantic feelings for the first time in years. Unlike her relationship with Thomas, which had been built on projection and fantasy, her connection with Michael was grounded in reality, complete with disagreements, compromises, and the occasional miscommunication. Rather than feeling threatened by these challenges, Linda embraced them as opportunities for growth and deeper understanding. Their relationship progressed slowly and steadily, with both Linda and Michael taking care to communicate openly and honestly about their fears and expectations. When Michael finally asked Linda on an official date, 6 months after they had first met, she felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. The memory of her marriage to Thomas still lingered, and she worried about what Michael would think if he knew the full extent of her past. Gathering her courage, Linda decided to tell Michael the whole story before their date. Over coffee in a quiet cafe, she recounted her experience with the cardboard cutout, her wedding ceremony, and the long journey of self-discovery that followed. As she spoke, she watched Michael's face carefully, bracing herself for signs of judgment or ridicule. To her surprise and relief, Michael listened with compassion and understanding. When she finished, he reached across the table and took her hand, telling her that he admired her bravery in sharing her story and in taking steps to change her life. Their first date, a picnic in the park where Linda had once taken Thomas for walks, became a symbolic turning point. As they sat on the blanket, sharing food and laughter, Linda felt a sense of peace wash over her. She realized that the fulfillment she had sought in her relationship with Thomas, the feeling of being understood, accepted, and loved, was something that could only truly be found in genuine human connection. As Linda's relationship with Michael deepened, she continued to flourish in other areas of her life. Her art career gained momentum, with her work being featured in several group exhibitions and even a small solo show. She became an active member of her community, volunteering at local events and mentoring young artists. Her story, which she now shared openly in interviews and at speaking engagements, inspired others who struggled with loneliness and social anxiety. 2 years after her divorce from Thomas, Linda found herself planning another wedding, this time to Michael. As she tried on wedding dresses and tasted cake samples, she couldn't help but reflect on the differences between this experience and her cardboard nuptials. This time, the joy she felt was real, shared, and grounded in a relationship built on mutual growth and understanding. On her wedding day, as Linda walked down the aisle towards Michael, she caught sight of the cardboard cutout of Thomas propped up in the back row. She had decided to include him in the ceremony as a reminder of how far she had come and as a symbol of the lessons she had learned. As she exchanged vows with Michael, her voice strong and clear, Linda felt a profound sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought her to this moment. In the years that followed, Linda and Michael built a life together filled with love, laughter, and the occasional challenge. They traveled the world, started a family, and continued to support each other's personal and professional growth. Linda's experience with Thomas became a cherished family story, told with humor and wisdom to their children as a lesson about the importance of self-love and genuine human connection. Linda's journey from marrying a cardboard cutout to finding true love and fulfillment became more than just a personal triumph. It sparked conversations about loneliness, mental health, and the search for connection in an increasingly digital world. Her story was adapted into a best-selling memoir, a critically acclaimed indie film, and even inspired a support group for individuals struggling with similar issues. As Linda entered her golden years, surrounded by a loving family and a rich network of friends, she often reflected on the twists and turns her life had taken. The cardboard cutout of Thomas, now yellowed with age, still held a place of honor in her art studio, not as a substitute for human connection, but as a reminder of the power of resilience, self-discovery, and the enduring human need for love and belonging. As Linda's story gained widespread attention, it sparked a broader societal conversation about the nature of relationships in the modern age. Sociologists, psychologists, and relationship experts began studying the phenomenon, dubbing it the cardboard companion syndrome. Linda found herself at the center of academic discussions and talk shows, sharing her experiences with audiences around the world. The increased visibility brought both positive and negative attention. While many people found inspiration in Linda's journey, others used her story as a cautionary tale or even as fodder for ridicule. Social media exploded with memes and parody accounts, some harmless and others more mean-spirited. Linda, with the support of Michael and her therapist, learned to navigate this new level of public scrutiny, focusing on the positive impact her story was having on others struggling with loneliness and social isolation. Linda's memoir, From Cardboard to Real Love, A Journey of Self-Discovery, became an international bestseller, translated into 27 languages. The book delved deep into her childhood experiences, exploring the roots of her social anxiety and her retreat into fantasy. It also offered practical advice and exercises for readers looking to build meaningful connections in their own lives. The success of the book led to a speaking tour that took Linda to conferences and universities across the globe. During one particularly memorable stop on her tour, Linda was approached by a young woman who shared a strikingly similar experience. The woman, named Sarah, had created an entire imaginary family, complete with a husband and 2 children, whom she would set places for at the dinner table each night. Moved by Linda's story, Sarah had found the courage to seek help and begin her own journey towards genuine relationships. This encounter inspired Linda to start a support group specifically for individuals who had created elaborate fantasy relationships. The support group, which began as a small gathering in Linda's living room, quickly grew into a nationwide network. Linda worked tirelessly to develop a curriculum that combined therapy techniques, mindfulness practices, and social skills training. The program gained recognition from mental health professionals and was eventually adopted by several hospitals and community centers as part of their treatment offerings for social anxiety and depression. As Linda's influence grew, she found herself advocating for policy changes to address the root causes of social isolation. She testified before congressional committees on the importance of mental health resources and community-building initiatives. Her efforts contributed to the passage of the Human Connection Act, which increased funding for public spaces designed to foster community engagement and provided grants for innovative programs aimed at combating loneliness. Meanwhile, Linda and Michael's relationship continued to flourish. They faced challenges, as all couples do, but their commitment to open communication and mutual growth allowed them to navigate rough patches with grace and understanding. 5 years into their marriage, they decided to start a family of their own. The journey to parenthood proved to be more difficult than they had anticipated. After 2 years of trying to conceive naturally, they turned to fertility treatments. The process was emotionally and physically taxing, testing their resilience as individuals and as a couple. Linda found herself drawing on the coping mechanisms she had developed during her recovery from the Thomas period, using art and meditation to process her feelings of frustration and disappointment. After a series of setbacks, including 2 miscarriages, Linda and Michael received the joyous news that they were expecting twins. The pregnancy was high risk, requiring Linda to step back from her public engagements and focus on her health. During this period of forced rest, she turned her creative energies to writing children's books, crafting stories that taught young readers about empathy, self-acceptance, and the value of real friendships. The birth of their twins, a boy and a girl named Oliver and Emma, marked the beginning of a new chapter in Linda and Michael's lives. Parenthood brought its own set of challenges and rewards, pushing them to grow in ways they hadn't anticipated. Linda found that the unconditional love she felt for her children helped heal some of the lingering insecurities from her past. As the twins grew, Linda and Michael were committed to raising them with a strong sense of self-worth and the ability to form healthy relationships. They were open with their children about Linda's past, using age-appropriate language to explain the concept of loneliness and the importance of reaching out to others. The cardboard cutout of Thomas, now carefully preserved, became a teaching tool, used to illustrate lessons about reality versus fantasy and the complexity of human emotions. When the twins entered school, Linda became actively involved in their education, volunteering for school events and eventually joining the PTA. Her experiences made her particularly attuned to children who seemed socially isolated or anxious. She worked with the school counselor to develop a friendship club program, which helped shy or socially awkward children build connections with their peers through structured activities and games. As Linda approached her 50th birthday, she found herself reflecting on the incredible journey of the past 2 decades. From the depths of loneliness that had led her to marry a cardboard cutout, she had built a life filled with love, purpose, and genuine connections. To mark this milestone, she decided to organize a unique celebration that would honor her past while embracing her present and future. The party, held in the same backyard where she had once married Thomas, was a joyous affair that brought together family, friends, and individuals whose lives had been touched by Linda's story. The centerpiece of the event was an art installation featuring Linda's paintings, each representing a significant moment in her journey. The final piece in the series was a group portrait of Linda, Michael, the twins, and a diverse group of friends, symbolizing the rich tapestry of relationships she had woven. During the party, Linda gave a heartfelt speech, thanking those who had supported her and expressing gratitude for the lessons she had learned. She spoke about the ongoing nature of personal growth and the importance of remaining open to new connections and experiences. As a surprise, Michael had arranged for several of Linda's support group members to share their own stories of transformation, highlighting the ripple effect of her courage and vulnerability. The celebration also marked the launch of the Linda Harrison Foundation for Social Connection, an organization dedicated to combating loneliness and promoting mental health awareness. The foundation would fund research into the psychological impacts of social isolation, support community-building initiatives, and provide resources for individuals struggling with forming relationships. As Linda blew out the candles on her birthday cake, surrounded by the love and warmth of her family and friends, she made a silent wish. She wished for the strength to continue sharing her story, the wisdom to guide others on their journeys, and the ability to keep her heart open to the beautiful, messy, unpredictable reality of human connection. In the years that followed, Linda continued to evolve and grow. She embraced new challenges, including learning to navigate the world of social media to reach younger generations struggling with digital-age loneliness. She and Michael became grandparents, finding new joy in watching their children start families of their own. The cardboard cutout of Thomas, now a family heirloom of sorts, took on a new role as a prop in the bedtime stories Linda told her grandchildren, tales of imagination, growth, and the enduring power of love. Linda's journey from a woman who married a cardboard cutout to a beacon of hope for countless individuals struggling with loneliness serves as a powerful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit. Her story continues to inspire, challenge, and encourage people around the world to reach out, connect, and embrace the beautiful complexity of real human relationships.